Prabhu. Yeah, got it. So, and thank you very much, Gaur Kumar Prabhu, for this special invitation, a special month of Karthik. Haribol Tathina, living. Jai. So month of Karthik is very special, and so Prabhuji requested if you can speak something along those lines. So I'm trying to see if I can do the share my screen here. Line view. Oh, okay. Slideshow. Here it is. Slideshow presenter. Okay. I can share my screen here. Ah, here it is. Yes. Okay. Can you see my screen, Prabhuji? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'm going to read a verse from Bhagavad Gita. In the 10th chapter, Krishna says, Brihat Sama Tatha Samnam Gayatri Chandasamaham Masa Namarga Shirshoham Ritunam Kusumakara. So he says, of various things, I am the best one. This is who I am. I'm the best of the category. So he says, of the hymns in the Sama Veda, I am the Brihat Sama, and of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am Marga Shirsha. November, December, that's the time frame we're in right now. He's referring to this Karthik month. Among months, I am that Karthik month. And of seasons, I am the flower-bearing spring. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, already been explained by the Lord that amongst all the Vedas, he is the Samaveda. The Samaveda is rich with beautiful songs played by the various demigods. One of these songs is the Brihat Sama, which has an exquisite melody and is sung at midnight. In Sanskrit, there are definite rules that regulate poetry. Rhyme and meter are not written whimsically, as in much modern poetry. Now, the month of November-December is considered the best of all months because in India, grains are collected from the fields this time and people become very happy. Of course, spring is a season universally liked because it's neither too hot nor cold. And the flowers and trees blossom and flourish. In spring, there are also many ceremonies commemorating Krishna's pastimes. Therefore, this is considered to be the most joyful of all seasons. And it is the representative of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So, spring is special. So, among seasons, he is spring. But among months, he is this Karthik month. See? So I'm gonna skip some of these. So Srimati Radharani is the goddess of the month of Karthik. And sometimes people around the world say God is a he. For example, who is God? People say he is a supreme being. That's only partially correct because God is both he and she. She's also part of him. Just like the sun. The sun is the object, but also possesses two main energies, heat and light. And without heat and light, there's no meaning to the sun. So similarly, Srimati Radharani is the energy of Lord Krishna. And there's no meaning to Sri Krishna without Srimati Radharani. She is the energy and he is the energetic. So this is something we have heard many, many times. And therefore, together they're both God. So this month of Karthik comes from Kirtika. Now, Kirtika is the name of the mother of Radharani. See? And Marga Shirsha represents Krishna, and Karthik represents Radharani. You see? So Marga Shirsha is that month time frame, and that actual name Karthik month is belonging to Radharani. Therefore, she is the goddess of this month of Karthik. Right? Now, in there's a work by by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur called Shri Rupa Chintamani, and that one in that work he has a prayer. It's very beautiful. It says, Vrindavaneyo rasiko vibhata Paraspara prema sudhara sadrau Tayostadinnindirucha kishorya Nilam sukanta smaramandahasyam. This means that there's a charming couple, two oceans of the nectar of the love they bear for each other, shines in Vrindavan forest. The young girl, whose splendor rebukes the lightning flash, hides a gentle smile under her blue sari. Please remember that smile. So, Srimati Radharani is also known as Urjeshwari. Urjeshwari. And there's a vrata that devotees undertake during this month called Urja Vrata. So what is this Urja Vrata? Urja means resources. And the point of this month, this vrata, this prayer, this meditation, is to remind ourselves very deeply that all the resources that are at our disposal are all meant to be used in the service of the Lord, in the direct service of Krishna. That is the message of Karthik. That is the take-home message. Therefore, this vrata is called Urja Vrata. Vrata means an austerity that you do to remind you of something, to make you stronger in your spiritual life. So what are our resources? Our resources are time, energy, and wealth. Whatever wealth we have accumulated or we have inherited somehow, we've earned, whatever time we have at our disposal, and whatever energy, strength, and so on that we have, should be spent fully in the service of Srimati Radharani. In the Padma Purana, there's a statement. Now, this is I'm reading from Nectar of Devotion. Srila Prabhupada writes, in the Padma Purana, there's a statement that one should perform the ceremonies for the Lord according to one's financial position. See, everyone should observe the different ceremonies and celebration of the Lord by all means. So what Srila Prabhupada is saying is that if you do have the means, if you have enough finances, you should employ as much as possible and celebrate Krishna conscious festivals, perform ceremonies for the Lord. If you can do in a big way, you should certainly do so in a big way. Everyone should observe these celebrations. And one of the most important of these ceremonial functions is called Urja Vrata. Urja Vrata is observed in the month of Karthik. So this is directly from Nectar of Devotion. If you read this book, you might have come across this passage. It's observed in the month of Karthik, October, November, especially in Vrindavan. There is a specific program for temple worship of the Lord in his Damodar form. Damodar refers to Krishna's being bound with rope by his mother Yashoda. It is said that just as Lord Damodar is very dear to his devotees, so the month known as Damodar or Karthik is also very dear to them. The execution of devotional service during Urja Vrata in the month of Karthik is especially recommended to be performed at Mathura. So this is something that we do take part in. Every night we offer this Damodar Ashtakam and we celebrate this wonderful pastime of the Lord. And it really supercharges our spirit, our love for the Lord, especially the benedictions that we ask for. The prayer asks for so many benedictions and also specifies that I do not want other kinds of benedictions. All I want is to have your vision in my heart forever. So that is the benediction that we ask for when we offer these prayers to Lord Damodar. So that's the significance of this month of Karthik. Also, during the month of Karthik, the gopis pray to Mother Katyayani, Durga Devi, and they pray to her. And this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. They say, Katyayani Mahamaye Mahayogyanadishwari Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi Patim Me Kurute Nama Iti Mantram Japantyastha Pujam Chakru Kamarika. So this is the time period when, young girls worship Durgama. Just like recently we had this Navratri festival. If you're in India, even lots of parts in the West, if you're familiar with, everyone gets together and they sing and dance, and they worship Durga Devi, Katyayane. That is the origin of this tradition of Navratri. The gopis ask Katyayani for this favor. What is the favor that they're asking her? Each of the young unmarried girls perform her worship while chanting the following mantra: O goddess Katyayani, O great potency of the Lord, O possessor of great mystic power and mighty controller of all, please make the son of Nanda Maharaj my husband. I offer my obeisances unto you. See, so they're asking something very specific that make it possible that Lord Krishna becomes my husband. So we can ask a question here, that this is a prayer, it's a mantra that asks for service, that asks to serve Krishna. So there is another similar mantra. I'm sure you all know that mantra. That is the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And the meaning of the mantra is, my Lord, please engage me in your service. Let me be your servant. Let me be subordinate to you always. Let me be connected to you always. Just like they're asking that, let me be, you please be my husband, my pati. So the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is a prayer asking to make us connected with Krishna, to serve him eternally. So whatever one does for Krishna, even little, is to one's eternal benefit. We all know this. In Bhagavad Gita it says, Neha bhikravanaashosti pratyavayana vidyate salpamasya apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So there's some context to this, is that in Hari Bhakti Vilas, it says the result one obtains by giving 10,000 cows in charity can be obtained by offering one tulsi leaf to the Supreme Lord during the month of Karthik. See, so this month of Karthik is supercharged with all kinds of multipliers. When we do a particular activity, it multiplies the benefit thousandfold. I myself have not even given one cow in charity to anybody. I've never really been in direct possession of a cow. I believe they're quite expensive. And then 10,000 cows, that's a whole different, level. But we can offer tulsi leaf to the Supreme Lord in the month of Karthik, and the benefit you get is immense. This is given to us by Shripad Sanatana Goswami. So if you think about even a little bit of advancement frees them from the greatest type of fear. Imagine if you add a multiplier to that. So in the month of Karthik, we should take advantage to accelerate our Krishna consciousness by improving the quality and quantity of our practices. The same Hari Bhakti Vilas, it says, for a devotee who worships Lord Vishnu with offerings of malati flowers in the month of Karthik, Yamaraj orders a removal of all his sinful reactions from the account book. So we know that Yamaraj keeps track of all our sins. Not personally, he has his agents. There's one agent by the name of Chitragupt who keeps a very good track of all our sins, and he also has his own subordinates who work for him. But if we offer flowers to the Lord, if we offer some prayers to the Lord, we offer a lamp to the Lord in the month of Damodar, then we do get unburdened from a lot of our sins, from all the sins. And in Padma Purana, it is also mentioned that anyone who offers a ghee lamp to Lord Damodar in this month will be free from all kinds of sins, and he goes to the abode of Lord Hari. So, month of Damodar. We know that Dama means rope and Udar means belly. So, when you can see this beautiful painting, when Mother Yashoda binds Krishna with the rope of her love, it is an extremely cute, sweet, heart-stealing pastime. And Krishna is so full of fear. He's so afraid. He's genuinely afraid of Mother Yashoda that he's going to really get punished. And he cries. It says, Rudantam muhur netra igmamajantam. Rudantam means he cries, right? Rud. And Karambhujug means satanka netram. His eyes are terrified. Netra means eyes. And satanka. Satanka means sa-atanka. If you're familiar with Hindi, atanka means terror. Atankavadi means a terrorist. So it's the highest form of fear, very intense. And Krishna's eyes are moving here and there because he's so afraid. He's breathing quickly. And he's terrified of Mother Yashoda, Satanka Netram. Now, this is not a fake fear. He actually is afraid. The Supreme Lord, from whom even fear personified runs away, he is afraid of Mother Yashoda. He enjoys that exchange of love. And so his enjoyment is not fake, his fear is not fake. In a sense, it is Leela, and Leela can be considered a play of the Lord. But the play is so intense that there is no difference between the actual manifestation of it in his symptoms on his eyes and the actual feeling of fear in the heart of the Lord. That is quite astounding. But we see it's right there in the prayer, Satanka Netram. It's very beautiful. So this month of Damodar gives us a glimpse into a very intimate aspect of how the Lord chooses to play, chooses to interact, chooses to express his relationship of love with his pure devotees. So Damodar Leela is very sweet. Another significance of this month of Karthik, it is said in some circles that the most sacred place in the universe, we all know, is Radha Kund. And in some accounts, it is described that Bahulashtami, which we just passed last Thursday, is the appearance of Radha Kund. And if you're familiar with the nectar of instruction, Sri Rupa Goswami describes Radha Kund, the significance of Radha Kund. He says, Vaikuntha janito vara madhupuri tatrapi rasotsavad vrindaranyamudar pani ramanat tatrapi govardhana Radha kundamihapi gokulapate premamrita plavana Kuryadasya virajato giritate sevam vivekinaka. That the holy place known as Mathura, Madhupuri, is superior to Vaikuntha spiritually. Vaikuntha, the transcendental world. Why? Because the Lord appeared in Mathura. Superior to Mathura Puri is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan because of Krishna's Rasalila pastimes. And superior to the forest of Vrindavan is Govardhan Hill, for it was raised by the divine hand of Lord Sri Krishna and is the site of his various loving pastimes. And above all the holy places, Radha Kund, which is in Govardhan, it stands supreme. For it is overflooded with the ambrosial, nectarian prem of the Lord of Gokula, Sri Krishna. Where then is that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve the divine Radha Kund, which is situated at the foot of Govardhan Hill? So in this month, we celebrate Radha Kund also, because that's, there's some controversy maybe, or you could say there is some circles is disagreement that did Radha Kund really appear in Karthik month, but we can accept that Bahul Ashmi is considered one of the authorized birthdays of Radha Kund, appearance anniversaries. So we can bring that up in the Karthik celebrations as well and recognize it. And of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in ecstasy. When he arrived at Aritagram, his sense perception was awakened. Aritagram is where he was looking for Radha Kund. And he asked the local people, "Where is Radha Kund?" Now, no one could inform him because it had become kind of unmanifest. And even the Brahmana who was with Mahaprabhu did not know where it was. So then the Lord himself understood that the holy place called Radha Kund was no longer visible. But because he's the Supreme Lord, he discovered Radha Kund and Sham Kund in 2 paddy fields, where they grow rice. And there was only a little bit of water, but he took his bath there. And then when the people of the village saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking his bath in the 2 ponds, they were so astonished. And the Lord then offered his prayers to Radha Kund. And the Lord says that of all the gopis, Radharani is the dearmost. Similarly, the lake known as Radha Kund is very dear to the Lord because it is very dear to Srimati Radharani. Just as Srimati Radharani is most dear to Lord Krishna, so her lake known as Radha Kund is also very dear to him. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is certainly the most beloved. Indeed, Lord Krishna gives ecstatic love like that of Srimati Radharani to whoever bathes in that lake even once in his life. The attraction of Radha Kund is as sweet as that of Srimati Radharani. Similarly, the glories of the Radha Kund lake are as great as Srimati Radharani's. So, Mahaprabhu is very much emphasizing the importance of Radha Kund, and Rupa Goswami in his Nectar of Instruction encapsulates that emphasis. And then there's a beautiful story about how Radha Kund appeared. You might have heard, that Krishna had killed this demon who was coming in the shape of a bull. The demon himself was not a bull, but he took the shape of a bull to attack Krishna in a particular way. So Krishna killed him. So after killing the bull demon named Arishtasur, then Krishna approached Radharani. I killed the bull, now everything's good. He approached her so that they can have some romantic exchanges. But she was angry with him. She rebuked him, telling that, "Look, no, you can't touch me. You're impure because you committed the sin of killing a bull. That's cow killing. That's unacceptable. He's a symbol of religion. How dare you come to me? How dare you even come close to me? You're such a sinner." The only way to counteract your sin is to go all over the world where there's sacred rivers and take a bath in all of them. So then Krishna, being very eager to get it over with, he shoved his lotus foot into the ground and he made a large hole, and he summoned all the sacred rivers to enter into that pond. And they all, of course, because he's the Lord, they just quickly appeared in front of him and they formed this Shama Kund, the bathing place of Shama, one who is this dark-colored Lord. And after bathing in that Sham Kund, Krishna stated that he had become pure now by bathing in Sham Kund. But now Krishna said, "You all ladies, gopis, you have become impure." Why? Well, you took the side of Arishtasur. He's a demon. Even though he appeared in the form of bull, he's a demon. You sided with him against me. So you all now need to take a bath in the holy waters. So then Radharani said, "Okay, well, we're not going to take a bath in your Sham Kund. We're going to make our own Kund." So along with some of her gopi friends, they broke their bangles and started digging a hole with the broken pieces. But after the hole was dug, there was no water in there. So Krishna started laughing. "Well, you have the hole, but you don't have any water. What are you going to do?" Then the gopis formed a line to the Manasi Ganga lake. Manasi Ganga is just up that road in Govardhan area. And they started filling the hole with the water that's passed from one gopi to another in a pot. And that time again, all the sacred rivers again arrived in person and requested permission to enter into Radharani's Kund. which they did after receiving her blessing. So it's a very, very special place, this Radha Kund. And it's nice to meditate on that. So what if we cannot be there in person, but if we meditate on this sacred place, then we get the benefit of her presence in our heart. So Radha Kund is really special to the Supreme Lord. Okay. Now, devotees often observe some vow or another to take advantage of this month of Karthik to supercharge their spiritual life. Of course, we offer the Damodarashtakam prayers every night, and we offer the ghee lamp. We increase the worship of our Tulsi Devi, or if we don't worship Tulsi Devi, we can start worshipping Tulsi Devi. We try to put on some restriction on eating, maybe eat a little less, or typically it's recommended you don't eat a particular type of food, like urad dal is restricted. Sometimes we do that. But in general, Srila Prabhupada did not really emphasize these different vratas so much, if you're familiar with what he taught. In fact, he explained it in one place that these different statements about how there's a multiplying effect of Karthik, it's really meant to attract people who are not devotees, to kind of get them to come in, get them to come into the store. It's like a for sale sign. Like you have a Christmas sale or a Thanksgiving, Black Friday sale. And just to get people to come into the door and get a feel for what the product of Krishna consciousness is. Oh, wow. Just by chanting one mantra, I get the benefit of like 10,000 mantras. Okay, well, might as well see what it's about. Might as well check it out. Prabhupada said it's not really meant for those who are already card-carrying members, already chanting rounds. It's really to entice the outsiders. And so he didn't really emphasize these various vratas, and those who are familiar with what Prabhupada taught and stuff like that, he never really got into it. There is a risk of getting ritualistic about these vratas, and that is the problem, when we take them on. So the best thing to do is not to make it a ritual, but rather to do whatever you do to try to see if you can make it a permanent thing. Like, for example, if you take a vow to only eat a healthy amount of prasadam and only eat as much as needed, and you take a vow to really focus on chanting much more than you've done the rest of the year earlier on. Now, you don't give up that vow after the month is over. You just keep going with the higher level of increased focus. Similarly, when you pray to Lord Damodar that, my Lord, please let your vision always remain in my heart. It's not just for this month. It's really throughout the year and every day, 365 days. So this is a reminder to us. It's a nice way to celebrate the month. We have to watch out for the tendency to slip into ritualism, where we do something externally without really understanding what the goal is. So there is somewhat a risk of that. But those are progressive devotees to understand that. So Srila Prabhupada in that spirit did not emphasize too many of these, for sale signs. But we could certainly take advantage of the sacredness of the month to remind ourselves of the importance of spiritual life and the sense of priority that we need to give to our spiritual life. So let us together take a vow to ourselves that Srimati Radharani is kind. It's not that she's unkind in other months, but this is a special celebration time, and the weather is changing. It's a beautiful fall weather over here. It's nice to offer a ghee lamp and beautiful singing of these songs and prayers, and we come together every night. It is certainly extra special. So we can take advantage of that vibe in the air and ride the wave to take us to the next level. And hopefully we can stay at that next level throughout the rest of the year until the following Karthik, in which we can again ride the wave of the collective energy of moving closer to Krishna and keep getting better and better at our practices. So I will pause here if there's any discussions or questions or comments. Thank you very much for your time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Madan, Gopal, Prabhu, thank you so much again. A wonderful description of the month of Karthik, and it's so nice to hear the pastime of Radha Kund again and again. It's always nice to hear, especially in this month of Karthik. So thank you again for explaining that pastime so nicely. If anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to ask now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the amazing class. I just had a question. Maybe it's very basic. You mentioned that Prabhupada explained that these multiplying effect, the multiplying effect of the things that we do, devotional activities that we do in Karthik month, it's more to attract the newcomers than for those who are already practicing. So, so are they literal? I mean, because we are qualifying it that way. Prabhupada qualified it that way, that, hey, this is only for the newcomers to attract them. But then if we had to take it literally, should it not apply to everyone?
Yes, that is a fact, and they are literal. There is no exaggeration in these multipliers. They are in fact real. The risk for those who are already practicing, like I mentioned, is that then once the Karthik month is over, then we'll also become lax in the intensity that we put into it. Like, oh, now you get a multiplier, so every mantra I put in multiplies 10 times. But then when Karthik is over, then should I not put that much intensity? Because it's not multiplying 10,000 times anymore, right? So it's not that it's not doing it. The multiplying effect is in fact there. But the purpose of that is really to bring in new people. I'm trying to see if I can find there's a reference there. Prabhupada actually explains that very nicely. But the risk, like I was mentioning, is because you know how it is, especially among those of us in Indian background, we can do almost everything in a ritualistic fashion, including Bhagavad Katha. I don't know if you attended any ritualistic katha. I know I used to go to this Satyanarayan katha where, they tell these amazing stories. But the guy who's telling the story is just like humming it. He's memorized the story and just humming it like he's not talking, he's not explaining, he's not narrating. He's just humming it like it's a prayer. If you listen carefully and realize this is such a ritualistic thing. There's no real spirit in it. You're not connecting to it. So it is easy to fall into that ritualism, that niyamagraha type of thing. Especially when we go for these multipliers for those purposes, and that's why Prabhupada said it's really not meant for us. It's not that it doesn't multiply, but the fact that anybody who has prioritized Krishna consciousness in life, especially the point of giving their lives to Krishna, these multipliers are relatively insignificant. See what I'm saying? The person has given his whole life to the glory of to spread the glory of the Lord, and that's the expectation of all devotees. That we really build our lives around Krishna, even though we may be working outside and raising a family. But our whole goal is to be instruments in the Sankirtan movement as the first priority of our life. So that's how I would like to present it.
Thank you. One more question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So you and I have come across this statement many times that if you offer a lamb, then it's equal to, or if you offer a tulsi leaf, it's equal to offering 10,000 cows and things like that. So the offering of tulsi leaves, or even offering of lambs, is more of a devotional act that we are doing, like it's spiritual. But then the result that is mentioned, it sounds like karma kandi. And then we know that the bhakti, or especially the holy names, in fact, one of the offenses against the holy names is to consider it as a ritualistic activity, a karma kandi activity. So how do we understand that these devotional activities give some kind of, I can understand going like destruction of sins, because kleshagni is one of the 6 characteristics of bhakti, but getting these things, getting these rewards, like, it's equal to offering such and such things and things like that. So how do we understand that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it seems like there's a bit of a crossover happening here, right? And like 10,000 cows sounds very rich, like very karma kandi. Krishna in the center over there. But these statements again are meant to give a relative importance, because people can't understand the importance of spiritual benediction because they haven't grasped the point of spiritual value. They don't understand the value of, it's like gold coin and Bitcoin. All right. If you tell somebody in the village that, hey, this Bitcoin is like, 60 gold coins. Now, the reason I'm using gold coins is because that person can understand gold coins. He doesn't understand Bitcoin. I have to give that as an analysis. It's the only thing he can grasp. Similarly, a lot of the times, just to get people to come to understand your perspective, you have to give some relative value. It's like showing the moon. Where is the moon? It's between that branch over there. You say, come. You see those 2 branches? You see where they're branching off like this? There's the moon. The branch has nothing to do with the moon. It's just a pointer. It's so far away from the moon, but the branch is close to us. Similarly, this idea that, okay, I'll get a silk cloth, I'll get as many gold coins, it's as good as giving so many cows, is just a pointer. It's called Chandra Shakha Nyaya. Chandra Shakha Nyaya means the logic of the moon and the branch. So that is why these things, the relative things, are given. I found the letter that Srila Prabhupada wrote in 1969. Srila Prabhupada wrote this letter to Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. And Srila Prabhupada says, "You have asked about the specialness of the month of Karthik. And the answer is that it is a special inducement for persons who are not in Krishna consciousness to perform some devotional service. For persons who are doing nothing in Krishna consciousness, it is an indirect inducement to take to devotional service in earnest seriousness. Every moment is Karthik." Okay. In this connection, there's a good example that sometimes the store gives special concession to attract new customers. But for those who are already customers, there's no need for a special sale. They will purchase at any cost. It means they will chant seriously whether there is a multiplier or not. You see, they don't need inducement. They will purchase at any cost if they know how important and valuable the goods are. Similarly, those who are pure devotees do not aspire for any concession or even multipliers. And out of spontaneous love, that's the bottom line, out of spontaneous love, they try to engage themselves in devotional service 24 hours a day, 365 days a year without any stoppage. So this is in Prabhupada's letter. And you'll find that when Prabhupada was personally present, physically present, there was not much emphasis given to observing various vratas during Kartik. Prabhupada did not really ask anybody to do it, neither did any devotees really do that sort of thing. But it has become a trend, not necessarily a bad thing, it's just that we have to watch out for the risks associated with them. Otherwise, then the confusion does happen where we start thinking along the terms of the 10,000 cows and all the gold coins, because then we do get confused. Wait a minute. So it's important. That's why your question is very, very valid and very good one. That we're mixing things now. We're mixing goals of life. There's so much benefit that comes from giving in charity to the brahmanas. Is that not what we're talking about? We are only using that as an analogy or a pointer for those who don't understand the value. But for those devotees who really understand the value of Krishna consciousness and the eternal nature of spirit, soul, and so on, if we don't understand the relative context, we can slip back or can get confused.
Thank you so much. I had always heard about Shaka Chandra Nyaya as when we offer analogies to explain concepts. But yeah, it is very interesting that it applies here too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's basically just an extension of an analogy. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Athena.
Hare Krishna!
Hello.
I will first say, everyone here knows I never turn on my camera because I'm running here and there, but I'll turn my camera to say hello to you. Thank you so much for a wonderful class. I learned so much, all these little tidbits. I've been following Krishna consciousness for a few years now, and I never actually really heard all the details of the significance of Karthik and all the backstories. And I'll definitely say it will be a life goal to make sure I bathe in Radha Kun for sure. And I didn't know the whole Gopis and Kayatni that Maharaj, Jayatwita Maharaj always is saying that they were praying to have Krishna as their Lord. I didn't know it was somewhat tied, so that was very wonderful. So thank you. So I guess I don't know if it's so much a question, but just a thought that I had that I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts, Gar Kumar thoughts, and others. And it's kind of just taking this high level view that I've realized. Well, one, we know, again, Krishna's Leelas are always happening. Like, it's always 12 p.m. somewhere in the universe. And there's Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is always happening. There's always, all his Leelas are always happening because there's infinite number of planets and infinite numbers of, universes. So if I were to even apply it just even here and say, like, this world, you kind of realize that at any point in time, there are austerities that are happening, or like a holy month that's happening. So for example, the Christians, right, it's like Lent, that they're giving up something, and then there's Easter, and then for the Muslims it's Ramadan, and it's always like March or April or May, and then always somewhat ties, and then I don't really know where Yom Kippur, but at any point in time, people are fasting or austerities for God, and then even celebrating God. There's like a holy month. And I would say for us, it's this kind of October, November, December time, which is Karthik. But what made me pause, I guess one of my questions that I wonder is the importance of the place where it is being celebrated. And the reason why I say that is, so for us, we say, October, November is usually where Karthik falls. This year as well, but it straddles Halloween, which I think in many of the, say, like the Christian faith, it's such a devilish bad time where the evil spirits and all that stuff, but somehow it falls in like the most holy month of Karthik for us. And so you would argue that, for example, when you said November and December in the Gita, Krishna said, I'm November, December. And it's because in India, that is the time where the grains are being reaped, and that's best for those there. So it seems like it's a time, place, and circumstance. So Halloween doesn't exist in India. Like, it's not a bad time where, I guess what I'm trying to say is also, if thoughts of people can create negativity, if someone's energy can be negative, it does have an effect. So if a bad day or time such as Halloween, which is an evil time, is falling during, and it's, I would say, those I know in saying Christianity, it's a very bad kind of month or day that leads up to, but yet it somehow crosses our most holy month. And you would argue, well, because we're in the states where there is an energy that is being celebrated of this evilness, so it is valid because we're actually living in a place where this energy of badness, evilness is present. And if you think about Karthik, it happened in India, which there's no such thing. It's when grains are being reaped, and these pastimes happen. So while, yes, God is all prevalent and Krishna consciousness can be practiced anywhere, it just also makes me think about the relevance and the importance of the place that it happened at. And I'm not saying we can't celebrate Karthik, but I was just curious your thoughts, how in one sense Karthik seems very specific to India at a specific time and place. Thank you. Sorry.
Great question. I'd like to offer you this. The celebration of Halloween in the West is actually a derivative of Celtic culture, if you're familiar with Celtic culture in Ireland and so on. And it was what you call a pagan culture where they would celebrate the harvest. So it is kind of related because this is the time when harvest is happening in the Northern Hemisphere. That includes in Europe and Ireland and so on. And they're celebrating the harvest, and they would put on these costumes of spirits and things, not as a celebration of evil energies, but to ward off evil energies. But that kind of got twisted, and we're celebrating the West today for the opposite thing. Hey, it's so cool to dress up as a ghost or goblin or Iron Man or Spider Man, whatever that is, right? So it got a little, you know how in America we make a kitchery and mess of everything we do. So that's what happened over here. But if you look at the origins of it, it's actually pretty much along the lines of, protecting your harvest, not really celebrating evil energies. Another thing about Celtic culture is there's a lot of parallels with Vedic culture and specifically Vaishnavism in Celtic culture. You might have read, there's some books around that. There's a lot of information out there if you look into it, where they actually worship Krishna, Vishnu, and Lakshmi. She's called Fortuna. Krishna is called Krishna or something like that. There's a lot of parallels because that was imported, or say you can say exported from what we call India today. Back then, the whole world was India. So there are traces that remain. So if you're trying to draw parallels, then it may be better to look into some of those parallels, which are a lot closer, to see where there are common ground. And then you can look at the more recent diversions that have happened where we celebrate. And again, but then things also come back full circle because now the kids are dressed up, they're having a good time, but they're also collecting candies, collecting fruits or whatever. Back then they'd collect because everybody has an abundance after they've harvested, so they'll share, whatever they've made. So they'll have harvested so much sugar cane, so they'll just make a whole bunch of sugar candies and they'll just give them out, and that's a nice time to share that. So that's where some of those traditions come from. And a lot of these discussions, there's always a sattvic way of looking at it, and then there's a tamasic way of looking at it. So if you look at it more holistically, you can see that, oh, this is so cool. It's kind of very similar to what we do in Vedic culture. And then we can look at the historical context of how things have changed more recently. And then you can smile and you've learned something new for the day.
Wow, leave it to Madan and Gopal, Prabhu, to know that its origins in the Celtics. I didn't know that. I don't think many people know that. And then tie it so nicely. Thank you so much for more food for thought. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol.
We have 5 more minutes left. Vishal Prabhu, you want to ask something?
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for coming. I always think of you as like someone who joined before even I was not even born. I must be some animal lying down there, and you were like helping Srila Prabhupada. I have a question, Prabhuji, that as you said that we should continue our sadhana, our vows, our devotion that we increase in this month, even after the Karthik month ends. So sometimes when I think on that is like, because we are offering lamp every day, we are singing Damodar Ashtakam, and there are so many festivals, we hear so many pastimes, and there's like auspicious sphere that is around us somehow, and that gives us like a strength or acts as an anchor that keeps us going with the vows. So how to like continue when the month ends, how to be in that mood, how to keep on that, continue ourselves on that journey and do it even after the month is over, and think of that like, it's not like the 10,000 times or something like that, but still in somehow feel that good devotional strength and energy around us.
Yeah, great question. Because this month only comes once a year, the 1 month in the year, and we get supercharged. It's similar to, when you run a marathon. A marathon, you run several miles. You train for it and you start running it. But even when you're running a marathon, say the Boston Marathon, New York Marathon, in certain points during the marathon, there's people with tables, and the tables have little cups of lemonade or Gatorade or whatever, right? So then even while running, you just grab a cup and drink it, and it refreshes you completely, and then that helps you go on much better than without the Gatorade to the next stop. So this month of Damodar, you can see it, we can view it from that angle, that it is now everybody, it's like everyone's coming together to re-energize, refresh you. But doesn't mean you stop and just keep drinking Gatorade the whole time. No, you take the Gatorade because that month is going to go. But that, so the energy that you've collected, the goodwill, the blessings you've got from the Lord for having done more intense practice, and of course the bonding that you make with other devotees as you come together to offer the candles or the deep to the Lord. Perhaps maybe we can also use that positive mood to kind of let go of some of our misgivings that we may have toward other devotees. Maybe we can use it to forgive things. And that's also a very good way to kind of cleanse ourselves and start from a clean slate that, my Lord, please forgive me. My dear devotees, please forgive me. I must have offended you in different ways. I know we've had some differences, but if it's Karthik, let's just give it all up and start new together. Let's hug. And, so there's different ways that we can take advantage of this Gatorade stop that is available in the form of Karthik month, so that we can then now continue with the renewed momentum, vigor, energy, and hope for the next leg, for the next 11 months of our Krishna conscious practice, while we can eagerly look forward to it. And of course, between now and then, there are many other festivals that will come. We'll celebrate New Year's, which is really a Western concept, but we'll do it with devotees. Then, God Purnima will come, that renews us some more. And then Nrsimha Chaturdashi comes, and before you know it, it's Janmashtami again, and then all of a sudden it's Karthik month again. So those festivals help us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that these festivals are the birth of bhakti. So similarly, this whole month is concentrated, string of moments to give us that power. So to answer your question, let us take full advantage of this Gatorade stop, and then use that to propel ourselves and go that extra mile, during our marathon, because life is hard. Krishna consciousness is not a joke. It's not an easy going process necessarily, but we can take encouragement from this, and also we can give encouragement to others. Hey, if you pick up 2 cups and you see the other fellow is missing one, you should give him one. So we can also take advantage of this holy month to give encouragement to others who may be struggling in their Krishna conscious life. I hope that helps, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Madan Gopal Prabhu. Krishnan Prabhu, if your question, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Madan Gopal Prabhu. This was such a wonderful class. I think the point that the takeaway for me was, how do we increase our sadhana? And I think Vishal Prabhu's question was so perfect that I think I got the answer to my question. I had just another thought. If you have time, now I've heard of this month called the Adhik Mas, which happens once in 2.5 years, where the lunar calendar is adjusted again. And in many traditions, that's also considered a very auspicious month. And I was wondering if in ISKCON also, if it is an auspicious month. Just a curiosity question, Prabhu.
Oh, sure. It is actually considered very auspicious in Vaishnava circles. It's called the month of Purushottam Mas also. And there's special significance to that. We sing Jagannath Ashtakam every day during that month. It become tradition. I'm not sure where that tradition arises from. We also sing the entire 15th chapter during that month, which is called Purushottam Yoga. So maybe there's a connection, Purushottam month, Purushottam Yoga, and Purushottam Kshetra of Lord Jagannath. I don't know, maybe that's the connection, but anyway, whatever excuse we have to do more Krishna conscious things, we take it. And definitely it is an auspicious month. So we should take full advantage of it. Again, yes, the same kind of logic applies. It's really meant to induce others to come in. But we can also, if we consider ourselves not fully dedicated to Krishna, then we can take some encouragement by doing extra things during that month.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hey.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Madan Gopal Prabhu. On that auspicious note, I think it's time to end. So thank you again, Madan Gopal Prabhu, for taking the time and being with us and enlightening us in the month of Karthik. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity. Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Samveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai.
Madan Gopal Prabhu ki jai.